This
All right, and welcome to this sixth installment of the 93rd Minutes Golden Goal Google Hangout. I'm here with a bunch of our regulars, some all-stars in this group, or some self-appointed all-stars. We have our resident Italian, fan favorite, Roma enthusiast, Mr. Antonucci. Go ahead, give us your intro for the day.
How you doing, everyone? This is Steve. I'm now known as the Wolf of the 93rd minute, just like Walter Sabatini's the Wolf of Roma.
Was Gattuso the Wolf of Italy as well? Is that a thing? Because he looked like one.
Pretty much. Now it's Sabatini because he makes such great trades. Buys low, sells high.
Okay. All right, then we have our New Jersey native, Sean. What do you got for us today? I know today's result was a little bit devastating, but other than that, go ahead.
Yeah, no, the name is Sean, resident NJ native, and I'm just going to bring up a point from last week. I finally win, and then Justin decides to give everyone a chance to say something at the end. I feel like I understand the rules of this hangout less than I do the MLS rules for roster.
Because I wasn't there.
Oh.
Yes.
Justin hosts blind draws.
Yeah, the victor did not have to do well last week to win. Let's put it that way. We just gave points out for fun. All right, and then last but not least, Mr. Williams.
How you doing? I'm coming to you guys live from New York City, and I am nameless this podcast, as I am also known as Bane. I am Saka's Reckoning, and I will not be speaking like that the whole podcast, but how's it going?
Thanks for letting us off the hook with that one. We appreciate it. All right, so Sean brought up a good point. That's not on the rundown, but we're going to start with it anyway. MLS transfer policy. Let's go there. Let's discuss how this all went down. Jermaine Jones, bought by the MLS, correct? He obviously wanted DP money. He wanted some big money. There were two clubs willing to do it, Chicago and New England Revolution, and apparently it was a blind draw that got Jermaine Jones to the New England Revolution. Sean, I know you're outspoken about this. Give me your thoughts. What needs to be changed if we can? If we can compete with the rest of the world.
Bruce Arena just came out about this. They tried to get LA tried to get Sacha Kljestan, and they gave up a player for him, and then the MLS just gave him to someone else, even though they had their roster spot and the allocation. If you read the rules, they don't make much sense. I mean, there is logic to them, but they're so confusing, and they feel like MLS just bends them to their will. And in order to attract talent, we don't want our players are not going to want to go to Salt Lake. They'll want to go to LA or New York. So I mean, to get those players, they got to have some kind of choice of where they want to go. And MLS does bend the rules for those players. There's certain favorited players to do that, but I mean, it's got to be more see-through. And I think when they go through contract negotiations, this point is going to keep coming up and up and up until it's finally fixed. But it may take the way the MLS works.
Okay. Steve, you look upset with the MLS right now. So give me your thoughts.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but I do know that Chicago Fire and New England Revolution were the only two teams that could fit a DP and afford him. That's why I believe it led to that. LA probably could have bought him, but they don't have enough people on. They have too many people on the squad. They have to give up someone. Red Bulls could have done the same thing.
LA was Sacha Kljestan. They just had a weird ruling for them not getting Kljestan. And then Chicago was supposed to be in the lead. And then somehow New England was also in the lead, so they went to blind draw. Usually there's a list allocation. So
right.
There would be someone on top and someone on bottom. So they couldn't both be on top. So they did something.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're the only two without a designated player. That's why I might have went to a blind draw.
No, I think
they had designated players. They just had a spot available for another one.
Okay.
But isn't it weird that the MLS owns everyone, Kyle?
Yeah, that's true. So, the MLS rules, they're about as transparent as cement these days. But I think they're written in pencil, and they get erased a lot, crossed out, written over. But it's interesting because I saw on Twitter people were tweeting about it, and Taylor Swellman even said, like when Michael Bradley came back to the MLS, ostensibly it was the same situation, and there wasn't a blind draw. They just let him go to Toronto. So it's sort of like MLS isn't consistent in implementing their policies. So I saw that article Sean was talking about with Bruce Arena and his comments. So it's something that, I mean, obviously MLS has made enormous strides over the last 18 years rather. But as they become more of a legitimate league, they have to end these kind of inconsistent, incoherent, just non-transparent rulings that really affect the legitimacy of the league.
Yeah, Sean, don't you think that players deserve kind of a choice in where they go?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird if teams are allowed to transfer players, like sign a player that's not there in case he comes to the league. So theoretically, a team could have the rights to Messi if he ever chooses to go to the MLS and have first dibs if he ever comes. It doesn't make any sense. Like the player is playing somewhere else, and yet his rights are still owned here. It's just there's so many weird back channels to their rules that at some point they got to change for us to grow, or else people are going to be like, why do we go here? I can't even choose where I want to play.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, any more comments?
Yeah, I think the MLS needs to adopt the same system that they have in Europe, where you can obviously buy and sell players, but you cannot have the rights to them unless they develop through your system, which I believe is a huge controversy going on over in Barcelona right now. That's why they cannot transfer anyone because of how they recruited people.
Yeah.
However, that being said, they're still doing it better than the MLS, clearly. And yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. All right, a lot of good points. In that one. I agree with Sean. Sean's gonna get the first point of the day. I think he did a pretty good job explaining how it works and why he's pissed off about it. I think MLS could, adopt something where a player has some say in what he does. It's kind of ridiculous for a big name player to come over here and then just say, yeah, I'm gonna go get placed in Kansas City. Like I know Sporting KC, they have great supporters and everything, but do you really want to be in that environment? I'm not sure the big names want to be there. Kyle, you have something to say there?
No, it's a good point. I mean, it's one of the only leagues in the world where the league owns the players, not the teams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely not the norm. And
Okay.
I know the collective bargaining agreement expires at the end of this season. So there's a lot of talks about it's a big step for MLS what the next collective bargaining agreement looks like. So obviously you want to see the salary cap increase, the DP slots increase. So I think that's a big question mark that hopefully MLS gets right at the end of the season.
Yeah, maybe let's make it a free market MLS where players can just go wherever they want. I'd be all right with that.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with NYCFC if they keep acquiring big name players. A lot of other teams can't keep up like that.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. So let's stick with MLS for now since we're rolling here. There've been obviously some big transfers in. Now, Jermaine Jones coming to the Revs, does that give them any chance of making the playoffs? Shawnee, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, he's a quality player. I still believe he's still kind of at the peak of his career, especially what he showed the World Cup. He definitely can come and make an immediate impact. I mean, I think right now my favorite right now is the Seattle Sounders. Just watching them rip apart the Portland Timbers the other day. Omofemi Martins had a great game. Dempsey looks like is hitting form the right time. I think they're still a favorite, but I mean, Jermaine Jones, the quality of player he is, and the quality of teams he was just playing on, he's definitely a big boon. And then it's all about getting hot at the right time with MLS since they have the playoffs. So I mean, if he fits in well, they make a push, and who knows what can happen.
Speaking of Seattle Sounders, when Chad Barrett is scoring goals for your team still, you must be doing something right. So that guy can't stop scoring. I think he's got 7 or 8 goals on the year, which is just crazy to me. But back to the Revs. Kyle, what do you think about Jermaine Jones? Can he really change a team that much?
I think he can. I think he's that caliber of player, and I think it's a good fit because New England has a lot of attacking options. They got Lee Wen's playing well, Diego Fagundez, Kellen Rowe, Teal Bunbury. So he's that guy who's going to be able to sit in that hole and make tackles. He's all over the field. We saw his work ethic at the World Cup. Like he's going to be everywhere. So I think, and it's also just, I think it's a lift to get a guy at this point in the season. You have enough time before the playoffs to get him worked into the team and accustomed. And then, as Sean said, you just got to get hot. And then in MLS, we've seen it's really who's hot at the right time, who plays well in November and December that wins it.
All right, Steve. Last but not least.
I think that he's going to come in a little rusty because as we've seen, he's been out with Charlie Sheen on the weekends. And that'll mess up your stamina for sure, or maybe it'll help him. I don't know. You never know what he does, But I think he'll make an immediate impact once. Well, you can't say immediate. He'll make an impact once he gets back into form, which will happen probably fairly soon because he seems to be a very, very disciplined player in those regards. He was one of the more durable guys that would play through pretty much anything during the World Cup. But then again, it's the World Cup. But also, he showed a lot of maturity when marking people and not going off the ball like he did in Germany, accumulating a ton of yellow cards and whatnot. He came pretty much. I thought he was the biggest leader on the field, aside from Dempsey, during the World Cup. So if he can do that, he'll be the new captain of the Revs and absolutely can lead them over everyone, including Toronto and even DC United, who's firing on all cylinders right now. However, in the West, I think I agree with Sean. Marcus Hanneman, my boy in goal, can't get anything past him right now. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Obviously, Steve makes a good point here. Charlie Sheen have to give him the point based on that alone. He's been a little bit of a playboy over the past few months. At least the pictures that we've all seen.
What was he doing? What was he doing? I didn't see this.
He was the third member of 2.5 Men for a little while. No, they were just hanging out on Instagram and Twitter, just a lot of pics.
A lot of pics, looking like he's enjoying himself a little bit, enjoying this whole process of trying to get through the MLS the entire time. So, Steve, you're getting the point. That's one for Steve, one for Sean thus far. Kyle, you still have a chance. There's a bunch of stuff left here. All right, but we'll move on. Obviously, second weekend of the Prem. A lot of action, a lot of interesting results, in my opinion. But we'll go with you, Sean. What was the best performance for you of the weekend?
The best performance, and it kills me to do this, was just the Manchester United just looked so good today. The Manchester City, I apologize. They were just they kept catching Liverpool in the break. Liverpool, I think, played well today, but they were just like anytime they left any bit of space open, they just pounded it down. They had perfect touches right in the final third. They have Sergio Aguero coming off the bench. It's just their team's not even fair. They looked like they're in mid-season form at the beginning of the season, and it's really a test to see whether any team can keep up with them or a few injuries derail them. Because if they don't, then I feel that they can. So I think they were the best performance of the weekend.
Do you think it could be a problem that they're in mid-season form, the second game in?
Yeah, I mean they have so much talent on their team that I feel like one player can start hitting a lull and then they can spring. Sergio Aguero starts starting instead of Dzeko, and he hits his stride. Dzeko goes in the lull. Aguero hits a lull. Dzeko comes in. Like I feel like they have so much interchangeable parts. It's hard for them to really face a long period of ineptitude. So I mean, if they do, I'd be surprised. But I mean, you're gonna have to match guns with them all the way in order to compete with them in the Premier League this season.
All right, a lot of good points. A lot of good points there. Steve, you look like a wise one right now. We're gonna keep it to the Premier League, if you could. Can you do that?
Absolutely.
All right.
Just because I go mustache in 2 minutes doesn't mean I can't keep it in the Premier League.
All right, let's go.
I have to agree with Sean. Man City did look like the team to beat this weekend. And even with, they scored 3 goals. Their own defender scored a goal. It was on themselves, but hey, it's another goal. I think they happen to be probably the deepest team in the Premiership at this point in time. And yes, they were good in season form. However, I disagree with what Sean says. I think a team like Arsenal, a team like Liverpool, Man U, Chelsea, who knows, even a West Ham can catch fire. And, it's a long shot. But what it is what I'm trying to say is that this is a marathon. So barring injuries, barring coaching changes, and tough schedules, you don't know what's going to happen. And I think Man City is going to end up being in the running for it in the end, but we can't just flat out say, hey, this is it. This is their season 2 games in. Yeah, they looked really well, but hey, Liverpool didn't have a target striker out there. Now we have Mario Balotelli coming in, who plays better in the Premier League than he does in Italy. So we'll like to see what happens with that.
Okay. Kyle.
I'll differ from the crowd. I thought Tottenham looked really good this weekend, and it looks like Pochettino, the new coach, has them playing really well. I mean, they had a lot of talent last year. They couldn't put it together, but already guys like Chadley, Lamela all look a lot better just under this new coach. They had that 48 pass sequence leading to a goal, which was 15 more longer than from last season, longer than the longest one from last season. I was big on them last season. They really underachieved, but obviously City and Chelsea are going to be tough to beat. But I like Tottenham sneaking into the top 4, and they impressed me the most this first weekend.
Okay, you all know that I love a good build-up play, and 49 passes is just a little bit silly. So Kyle, you're getting the point. I do think Tottenham had an excellent game. I got to catch a bunch of that game, and they were a little bit impressive. Kid Lamela has some special talent to him. He creates things. Yeah. Even though he didn't score any goals, he creates a lot of stuff going forward, and it's fun to watch. Yeah. And as much as City is probably the best pound-for-pound team in the league, I still think Steve does not look good with that look. But I don't think Man City is going to find a way to win it at the end of the year. So I'm going to give it to you, Kyle. Tottenham. But we're going to do a speed round right now. You each have 22 seconds. 22 seconds to pick your best individual performer of the week. And why, obviously, and why. So what we'll do, we'll start with good old. Who wants it? Who wants it over here? No one looks really interested in this one. Definitely not Ricky Lambert, Sean. I'll say that. So Steve. Best performance of the weekend, any league. Doesn't have to be Premier League. Go.
Well, seeing as the Premier League had just started, and Germany just started as well, I'm still going to stick with the Premier League. Best individual performance. I'm going to go with Stuart Downing, West Ham United. They won the first game of the season. Scored a few goals, had a few assists. He looks very promising for Big Sam over there. I'd like to see what happens when they add Mauro Ugarte and Carlton Cole as well.
All right, thank you for your input. One name only. All right, Sean, what do you got?
I'm going to go with he's been mentioned several weekends in the past, and he will be in the future. Lionel Messi had 2 great goals. I mean, Neymar was out, Suarez can't play. You can forget about Messi. It's a little bit ridiculous, but you kind of like, oh, they have all this talent, but they don't need Suarez or Neymar. Messi can show that he can do it all himself. Those 2 goals, I hope he's back to the Messi that we know and love. The Messi of last season was not the best Messi we can get, so hopefully it's the best Messi we can get. Because when he's on that, he's awesome.
All right, thank you. Last but not least, Kyle, I think your Messi got stolen.
Messi.
Let's find somewhere else.
I also love Yaya Toure. I mean, he's one of my favorite players to watch. He just such a presence in the midfield. He does everything. He does everything well. He's a force for Man City, and he's one of the reasons they won last year, and they're still the favorite this year.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for keeping it under 22 seconds. One of the only ones, or the only one. I think I'm going to go with Sean. It's really funny the way you put that. That how can you forget about Messi? But it's when you think about Barcelona, I don't think he's the first guy you think about anymore, given what's on that team. But yeah, he definitely showed that he's still the Messi of old, and will get his 60-plus goals this year, just like the past 3 years. So Sean, X marks the spot. 2 goals for you. 2 points for you. 1 for Steve. One for Kyle. You know, we got a regular barn burner going on over here. So, moving on to the worst performance. The worst performance of the weekend. We'll go individual or team. We won't separate them. It's completely up to you. I don't know if Liverpool's a good answer, so don't use that, Steve or Kyle. You're not going to win. I guarantee it. And we'll start with the Pirate. Steve the Pirate.
Tim Howard. Tim Howard.
And why?
Because he is not doing his job in the back.
What's his job?
His job is to manage his defense and not give up easy goals as he has consistently done so, including in the World Cup. I don't care if he had a 16-save game, he's still not managing his defense well enough in Everton. And without him, especially if Lukaku's not performing, they're not going to do well, and they're going to keep tying and losing.
He's busy writing his book, man. He's writing his book.
He's writing his book, he's commentating games, he's doing all those things.
He's got
Man
a
City.
tell-all memoir, Steve. Let the guy live.
Okay, so Tim Howard. I can't say I was expecting that one, Steve. Well done. Kyle, what do you got?
It's got to be Man U for me. Everyone was praising Louis van Gaal 2 weeks ago. Now, first 2 games have looked really bad, and it's the thing with me that strikes me is just how bad some of their players look. Just kind of, I mean, they keep possession a little bit better, but it's purposeless. They can't find that final ball. They can't break a team down. And just all of their English players, I mean, obviously they're signing anyone who can speak Spanish these days, but all of the English guys, Fletcher, Cleverley, Ashley Young, they look old. They don't look dynamic. They don't look good at all. So I think Van Gaal will figure out a way to straighten them out, but so far they've been very disappointing.
Okay, so United. I mean, they can't find a result, that's for sure. So, Sean, what do you got?
I'll go off Kyle's comments and I'll make my own. I agree with Kyle. United look terrible. Their team was built to fall apart after Alex Ferguson left, and Louis van Gaal and David Moyes, to an extent, all are facing the fallout. I mean, they took forever to replace Vidic and Rio Ferdinand, even though they should have seen that coming. They had Adnan Januzaj as holding midfielder for the second half. It just didn't seem like their team was working together, and it seems like they're going to have to bring a lot of players in, and who knows if they mesh in time to save this season. So Louis van Gaal definitely has his work cut out for him. He's not doing that great of a job so far. And also, Jeff Cameron is not getting any playing time so far in the Stoke season. He has to leave.
He has to leave.
He has to leave, but
Put a transfer request.
I think Lazio wants him, but I mean, I think Stoke City's stupid for letting him go. He led the league, I think, in interceptions and tackles last year. Why is he sitting on the bench? He's one of the better center backs that they have, and if Lazio wants him and wants to play him in third position, I think he's good enough to play.
That's the issue, Sean. He played right back. He started, I think, 30-something games last year for Stoke, but this year apparently he told them he wants to play center back. And that's where the frictions come from. So that he's put in a transfer.
Yeah, but I think he's earned it, though. I mean, if I think he's shown that he's capable of it. He's just always been such a team player that he'll move around the field. But I mean, at a certain point, like it hurt him in the World Cup, he has to have a defined position so that he can play always there. Can't be moving around the field all the time.
Okay, so back to the original question here. United's the worst performance of the week for you two. Steve, Tim Howard. I can't give it to you, Steve. I can't give it to you. As much as Tim has not been great.
Then you do not know goalkeeping, my friend.
Defenders got to give him a dig out too every now and then. Too many easy chances.
He's not doing anything.
You can't hear anything. You can't hear anything with 30,000 people in the stadium. What are you talking about?
Doesn't matter. Like you said, they're professionals. They should turn around and know what he's saying because he's going to be pointing as well. But he's
the reality is, if the coaching staff does a good enough job, you don't have to talk to anyone throughout the game. So they shouldn't have to talk at all. Let's put it that way. But I like Roberto Martinez, so I'm not going to kill him or anything like that. But, Sean, I can't have you riding people's coattails. The point goes to Kyle. Man United worst performance of the week. So Steve on 1, Kyle on 2, Sean on 2. As we move forward, talked about transfers a little bit, but what's for you, pick one person only, biggest transfer news of the week? Kyle, since you got the point, start us off.
You got to stick with Man U. It's got to be Di Maria. It's funny, Real Madrid, for how good they always are, and arguably the biggest club in the world, they've let some shockingly amazing players leave. Arjen Robben played for Real Madrid, then went to Bayern. Now they're letting Di Maria go. Just some of these guys they've let leave. Like back in the day, Figo left. I think they're going to regret this. I mean, I know they signed Toni Kroos and James Rodriguez, but for me, Di Maria's class. He gives so much to the midfield. He's a vertical threat for your team. He's hardworking. He tackles. I saw a stat, outside of Messi and Ronaldo, he has the most goals and assists in the last 5 seasons in La Liga. I mean, he's a quality player, and the fact that Man U's playing him, it's going to be a big coup for them.
Yeah, I think something that always is underscored about him is his defensive work rate. I think he really puts it in and covered a lot of ground for some other stars of his club team, but also his World Cup. So
he's a good teammate.
Definitely. Well, yeah, we'll yet to be seen. When he goes to United, it's going to be an interesting prospect for him. But hopefully, he does well. Sean, I don't really think you're going with Balotelli at all. Nothing on your face tells me that. So go ahead, just tell me about him.
No, yeah, I think it's the biggest thing for biggest transfer because Liverpool, and obviously today, they need that second striker that's too tenuous of a hold with Sturridge. They need another quality striker. Eto'o wasn't going to do the job. Cavani was going to be hard to pry away, and they could have ended up like another Colo Blanco deal where on the eve of the transfer window they're trying to get it done, doesn't go through. Then they're just stuck with Sturridge, Barini, Lambert. And so they needed, and Falcao probably wasn't going to happen. So they needed a star quality striker. It had to be Balotelli. He's got a lot of things that can go wrong, but Rodgers is a good man manager. I think you can get the most out of him. And if he doesn't, and it fails, I mean, it sucks. But then we got Divock Origi coming in, so it's a high risk, high reward situation. And I think that's the biggest one because I think that was a missing piece for this Liverpool team. I think Manchester United has a lot of missing pieces. I think Liverpool just needed this one extra striker to really bring their team together and give themselves the capability of making a run in the Premier League and Champions League. So Balotelli all the way, no question. Why always me? Why do I always have to win?
Well, for 16 million, I take Balotelli as well. So
great price.
Steve, what's going on in Italy? Help us out.
Well, I first want to comment on what Sean's saying, and I couldn't agree more. In fact, he and I talked, and Brendan Rodgers is pretty much going to slap him around and even include the Balotelli clause, in which if he doesn't behave, they're going to fine him wages, they're going to bench him, basically things that he used to freak out about in Man City because Roberto Mancini would do it on his own, not by the management. But besides that, I'm going to talk about something that is on the fringe of happening, which is Mehdi Benatia leaving Roma, most likely for Bayern Munich.
Mm-hmm.
That will seal the hole for the... I'm sorry?
Is that a pasta sauce? Is a pasta sauce is leaving AS Roma?
He's Turkish, so no. And good try. Mattia Destro might leave Roma as well for 25 million euros, either to Tottenham, Chelsea, or Milan. But Mehdi Benatia...
I also heard Totti was leaving. I heard Totti was leaving. Is that true?
He would kill himself before he left. So, nice try. But if he leaves a giant gap for AS Roma, for their soccer team that went 10-0 to open up this Serie A campaign last year. That's never happened before. And he brings so much value to Bayern Munich because that was was probably their weakest area, was their defense. Not the goalkeeping, but the actual center backs. So he'll join up with, I believe, Philippe Lahm, and that would be just an amazing partnership. As for Roma, they're kind of SOL. They did pick up a guy from I believe, Lille, who used to play with Rudy Garcia, but he's 31 now. who knows what he can do still. I mean, 31 is your prime, yeah, whatever. But as a defender, look at what happened to Mohammed. That's all I have to say.
Okay. All right. So, everyone brought up good players here. I'm real partial to Balotelli, but I'm going to give it to Steve. I like his explanation. I like that he brought, I said one player, but he brought a second guy in kind of on the peripheral there and threw it out. But going to Bayern Munich's a big move, and that definitely will hurt the squad. Yeah, I remember them going 10-0, and then Juve just taking over and running the Serie A. But
It doesn't have Conte anymore. Roma's going to win.
So we'll see what happens in the coming year. So Steve, you get the point. 2 for Steve, 2 for Kyle, 2 for Sean. From the looks of it, we have 2 categories remaining.
Justin, can I add a really sobering U.S. men's national team thought?
No, is it going to hurt my feelings?
It might a little bit, but
Let's do it.
in 2007, Benfica in the same week signed Angel Di Maria and Freddie Adu. One of them just signed for $100 million, and Freddie Adu is playing in Serbia.
Yeah, Freddie Adu is worth about a $10 transfer fee to Chivas, USA right now.
Exactly.
That is a pretty ridiculous stat. Oh my goodness.
Stop sucking up, Kyle. No points for you.
Well, Benfica is one of the best in the world at scouting these young players.
Yeah.
These Portuguese teams are just ridiculous with it.
Yeah.
But they got one of those a little bit wrong. It's probably because Freddie Adu was already 35 when they signed him. But other than that,
But not to keep beating the dead horse, I guess back to Portugal. Let's see what happened with Nani.
where is he now? Is he gone from United? I don't even know.
He's going. I
What is
believe he's going back to his former club.
Yeah,
For a lot less money than they sold him for, I bet.
Absolutely, but hey, discounted price for Nani won't be bad if you can get his head straight.
And it's a business, and you take a chance on that guy because he's got talent. He's just a head case, I think.
Is it just me that Freddie Adu ages slower than a Twinkie? Like, every time I read an article, I'm like, how the hell is he still 25?
Well, he's actually Benjamin Button, so let's see what happens. He's getting younger.
I watched his first game at DC United, his professional debut, and then now I'm like, I really feel it makes him feel like he's 34. He has more. His playing career seems to be almost done, and he's 25. He technically hasn't hit the peak of his career, and he's already he's on a no-name Serbian team playing in front of fans, and they had to convince him wouldn't be racist towards them.
Yeah,
He played
Freddie,
for 5 years ago.
yeah, Freddie seems like he's been past his prime for 10 years. Is that a bold statement? I don't know.
14 he started.
Yeah, he struggled to ever get better. I feel like he stayed at the same level. Everyone else got better around him, and it's really, really interesting and kind of unfortunate. You wish that he was like the next Messi or something like that for the United States, but I don't know if we'll ever find that guy. But anyway, to go on, free round. You have 20 seconds to discuss whatever you want. Make it good, make it pertinent, make it count. Ready? Steve doesn't look ready, so let's go.
Me?
Yeah, you're Steve, I think.
I think so. I don't know. Speaking of the next Messi for the U.S., there is a defender whose name is slipping my mind is a first American in La Masia's youth system. He's 11 years old from California, and I believe that if he stays within the system and doesn't get politically looked over, doesn't hit any injuries, I think that can be the next, I'm not going to say answer for the U.S., but he'd definitely be a valuable asset that can be developed into something amazing.
Nice. Kyle, what do you got?
If anyone has his name, help me out because I cannot remember for the life of me.
I have good news and bad news. The bad news quickly is all of the Americans in Europe are not seeing playing time right now, so I'm a little disappointed about that. Jeff Cameron hasn't been playing. Altidor's been on the bench. Fabian Johnson came off the bench. Timmy Chandler didn't play. That being said, a couple of our young guys in Europe, Rubio Rubin, really promising 18-year-old, started in the Eredivisie for Utrecht. And Emerson Heinemann, who's actually FC Dallas's former coach, his grandson. He's playing for Fulham right now, and he's supposed to be a very, very good player. They're both 18, and there's a couple of really good young Americans in MLS. So I think we have the next generation. I think is definitely on the horizon. I'm excited to see these guys grow and develop into good players.
His name is Ben Lederman. I remembered it. Sorry, Kyle.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to a different league. Cristiano Ronaldo, I'm starting to fear that maybe this is the part of his career where his body starts to break down. I mean, he seems like he's cut from stone like a Greek god.
Steroids.
He's got already that knee injury that was bothering him at the end of last season into the World Cup. It started to get aggravated in the Super Cup. It's coming back, and it could be one of those injuries that if it keeps around, keeps taking him out of games, and it could eventually derail his career. And really hope that's not the case, but I mean, this is where it starts, like a knee injury. You don't fully rehab it like he didn't when he was at the World Cup. Could never go away, and let's hope not, but I mean, it could be the point of his career where he starts to go down and start to miss a lot more games, and then maybe this is where Messi finally just blows him out of the water for making the case of the best player of the year, best player in the world.
He scored today, Sean.
Like Alex Rodriguez.
That was a snipe. I mean, he still has it, but he like it gets aggravated again and again. You don't know how it's going to play out over the season, but I mean, he still has it when he's not bothered. That was an absolute snipe. That was an amazing goal, but hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah, 55 games a year, that'll wear on you, because that's probably around average what he plays, which is just crazy when you think about it.
Especially the way he plays. He's a lot more more jumping and athletic. Messi, I mean, maybe his body just gets more wear and tear just because of the weight and stuff he has compared to Messi.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ronaldo, he could be in trouble, but you like to think the way he treats his body as a temple, he'll find a way back to his form. It's kind of fun watching the Messi-Ronaldo battle. See who's going to be the best in the world. So that one's going to go to. It's got to be Kyle. I can't get away from him. He dropped enough names, or reading from Wikipedia during that to conquer us all. So Steve.
If I may interrupt, Kyle, yeah, you won that definitely. But next time, if you really want to describe Cristiano Ronaldo and your love for him, just play Your Body's a Wonderland by John Mayer. That would probably be good for everyone.
Yes, without a doubt, that is a perfect song for him. So, last topic of the night. We're 2 weeks in the Premier League season. Who wins the league? You can't pick Man City. So I know everyone would choose them. Man City's out. They find a bad run of form. They can't figure it out. Steve's got his thinking goggle on. Let's start with you.
Arsenal.
And
that's because of a little guy named Alexis Sanchez, who is playing out of his mind and will continue to do so if healthy when he links up better with Mesut Ozil and Olivier Giroud if he can stay healthy as well. Unfortunately, I think he's a question mark as for the next weekend. They look to be like they're building something solid over there because they decided to start spending money the past two summers. So they're not just using their homegrown talent anymore. So I'd like to see what happens with them.
Okay, Sean.
Sunderland and Connor Wickham. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
No, I mean, with the Balotelli move, we haven't been able to see him in action, so this is taking a big leap of faith. Well, with Balotelli on Liverpool, I think their team dynamic completely changes. I think if they had Balotelli come off the bench today, that would have been such a big boon to their team. Markovic played well, but just bringing Balotelli into Ricky Lambert, who did score a goal, so I'll give him that. But Balotelli onto Liverpool, their defense is solid. They have that other star striker to take the pressure off Sturridge. They have Raheem Sterling, who's looked awesome so far. Markovic has looked good. Their outside backs looked improved. Hopefully Glenn Johnson's out for a bit, so Flanagan comes back in. So I'm going to pick Liverpool. It's not a surprise that I picked them, but hey, that's what I'm going to go with. In Balotelli, we trust.
That's tough.
All right, Sean, you're not really biased to Liverpool at all, so I don't know what you're talking about. Kyle, let's go.
It pains me to say it, but I'm going to answer with my brain, not my heart. But it's going to be Chelsea this year. Mourinho bought his team. He's got all the guys he wants. They added Fabregas. They added Costa. their midfield is incredible. They've got Hazard, they've got Oscar, they've got Willian. They're loaded at every position. They're deep. I don't think City's going to repeat, so I think Chelsea is the obvious choice.
Yeah, but you hear what Jose Mourinho's been saying about Hazard, that he doesn't try.
I think he's playing mind games. He's trying to get the most out of his player.
Playing lazy. Usually he's being lazy, man. You don't become the best young player in the Premier League. He's got to improve on some aspects of it to take it to the next level.
Mourinho is one of the coaches who has the respect of all the players, and he's coached players better than Hazard.
Except for
he's trying to rile Hazard up and get him to play to his full potential.
I'm sure Fernando Torres loves him.
See Fernando Torres in Serie A soon.
No, he's going to Liverpool. What are you talking about?
Yuck.
Yeah, why do you did that the other day? That's never going to happen.
They're buying him back. Awesome. They're buying him back. $6 million. It's going to be great.
Fernando Torres he doesn't want to change teams because he wants Chelsea to pay him in full. I think he just really does hate being at Chelsea, but he wants to make sure they pay him all his money before he leaves.
Yeah.
I think you said $6 million hairs.
Hey, man.
All right, Steve. I really wanted to give you a point, but you're making it difficult with these comments. But it's still gonna go to Steve. It's gonna go to Steve. For whatever reason, Chelsea last season were in a great place in Champions League, in the league. They couldn't figure it out. They signed Drogba, they signed Diego Costa, they signed all these guys, but I don't think they have it I feel like Arsenal has something special if they can figure it out and keep it together and not get injured like they have the past few years. But Alexis Sanchez is good as long as he doesn't get red cards. He's a dirty bastard as well. So we'll see about that. So that puts Steve on 3, Kyle on 3, Sean, you're muted, bro.
Line draw.
You're out. You're out. Muted up. See ya. All right. So, Steve and Kyle, final round of the day. It will be MLS Cup champion. Who will it be, and why? I'll give you 4 seconds to think about it while Sean covers the screen and why it was me. Okay. And Steve, by nature of the beast, you were the last to get to 3 points. You'll be first.
Bring it on. So, it's going to be the Seattle Sounders. And I'm going to throw a name out to you again that I'd already mentioned previously, my boy Marcus Hanneman. He is currently, I think, the best goalkeeper in the MLS. And to have him being a solid, well, they've had solid shot stoppers in the past, and Casey Keller, obviously, when they last won it. And now having the whole team coming together. Unfortunately, they're losing Yedlin at the end of the season, but I feel like he's going to go out with a bang and kind of leave his mark on the MLS. Maybe he'll come back later in life. I don't know. But Clint Dempsey, that run that he made to score that goal from the 6-yard box to the 6-yard box, if he does that the rest of the season, everyone else has got to look out because that guy is obviously class, and if he can get everyone else to play to his level, they're going to be tough to handle.
Okay. Kyle, what do you think?
I'm going to have to disagree with Steve. It's the LA Galaxy. It's Landon Donovan's last year. He's going to go out with a bang. Bruce Arena's the best coach. The young guy, another American who's doing really well, is Gyasi Zardes. Has something like 9 goals in his last 11 games. He's really flourished playing alongside Robbie Keane. Obviously Robbie Keane's a great player, so they have the talent, they have the experience, they've done it before. Omar Gonzalez is their center back. He's a rock back there. I think the Galaxy, they're going to do it for Landon's last season ever.
Okay, given that we already discussed that the MLS controls everything that happens in MLS, I feel like the best thing for the MLS and for what the MLS wants would be, boom, LA Galaxy win. Donovan on his swan song, a little swan song, wins it. Robbie Keane retires or moves somewhere else. Their whole team dissipates. Bruce Arena leaves. His son takes over, whatever it might be. But
not going to happen. I see this happening. Little choke.
Oh, they will. Okay. Well, sorry. Muted. Steve's muted. Kyle, this is your chance. This is your chance. Say whatever you want to the world. Let them know how you feel. Whatever you want. You got a minute. Go.
So what I've realized, despite my answer to the second to last question, I think Chelsea fans are up there with the worst people on the face of the earth. They are outrageous. They're terrible. I don't like anything about Chelsea.
What about Miami fans? Sorry to cut you off, but go.
No, you're right. I mean, for soccer, Chelsea fans are up there. They're painful at best. I can't stand that team. I don't like anything about them. Just want to air that out, just because anytime I see that blue jersey anywhere, it just makes my skin curl. It's the worst.
Completely agree, Kyle.
How do you get in? How do you get in? Oh, yes. All right. Kyle, you have 20 seconds left. Anything else?
That's me. Just my hatred of Chelsea.
That's it. So we got a Chelsea
the
hater.
best one this week.
All right. So we got a Chelsea hater. I don't know how to unmute you, Sean.
He
Muted
can do it
forever.
himself. I just muted myself.
I can do it myself.
Oh wow, I have no real control in this hangout.
You
It's
don't.
all
It's
facade.
an illusion.
All right,
It's like
Kyle.
financial fair play. It's all facade.
All right, well, congratulations, Kyle, on your win. What win number is that for you? 2, 3?
2.
Number 2. Sean, how many do you have?
2 or 3.
All right, not a good answer. Steve, what do you have?
I have 3.
0. You have 3?
Yes.
Yeah, sure you do.
He said wins, Steve, not testicles.
Yes, that is true.
3 more than you have, Kyle.
All right, well, thanks, guys. We appreciate you being here. It's been fun. And that's it for the 93rd minute and golden goal number 6. Kyle Williams, our champion. Chelsea, the lovely villain. And I'm Justin Kelp. See you later.